John Sarianides. And tonight I am joined by Holy Cross wide receiver Jalen Coker. Jalen, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, man, thanks for taking the time. We really appreciate it. And first things first, it's been a whirlwind couple months for you here. Starting with the Hula Bowl in January. Then, of course, you got a chance to play in the East West Shrine game. Then you got an opportunity to compete at the Combine in Indianapolis. I want to go through all that with you. But before we do that, talk a little bit about when you started playing football. Where did you go to high school, and how did you end up at Holy Cross?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, I was playing football since I was 5, 6. Started out doing flag, and then it eventually came into pads, Pop Warner. I was doing all that. I ended up playing on a travel league, 6th through 8th grade. So got some good exposure. Some guys that are in the combine right now, I played with in 7th, 8th grade. So that's really cool. But yeah, then I went to Potomac Falls High School in Sterling, Virginia. Um, Initially I was going in to be a defensive back, so I wasn't playing as much a receiver, didn't really have any reps. Like I was kind of under a lot of the senior guys, but then eventually had my opportunity to step up my junior year, balled, then picked up some offers. I had Youngstown State, Duquesne, UNH, Holy Cross, so smaller FCS programs, but Division One, and then on all scholarships. So I really couldn't complain. It was an amazing opportunity. Picked Holy Cross. My mom always wanted me to get an education, so that was a big staple for me. Coach Chesney coming off the first Patriot League championship for them in a while, so we wanted to build that dynasty together. And the people are a big part of why I committed, and I feel even when I go back now and I tell all the recruits that are coming in, like that's the reason why you want to go to Holy Cross. The people, how it sets you up for later in life, and people really care about you there.
Yeah, and obviously, you came in at a time where Coach Chesney, as you mentioned, started to turn the program around. Of course, he turns it around, and you guys go on to have unprecedented success. Talk about the impact that he made on you in your playing career at Holy Cross.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like he, you know, like coming in, everyone thinks they're good. Everyone thinks that they're, the best thing coming out of high school. So, I mean, I feel like he really showed me, it takes work. If you really want to be one of the best, you're going to have to put in the extra hours, stay a little bit later after practice, do the extra things to really shine above some of the other really good players in our league. So, and honestly, just kind of he would bring his kids around during practice. He was just a guy he was just a player coach. Like it was never like you were never scared to go ask him something, or he was always there to be a shoulder to lean on and really depend on my whole career.
And of course, you developed quite the rapport with Matthew Sluka, who is going to be playing at UNLV this fall. Talk a little bit about your development at Holy Cross, because you really burst onto the scene pretty quickly, and you not only became the number one receiver in the offense, and an offense, by the way, that had a really good skill group, but you became a guy that gained national prominence as well, and that propelled you ultimately to where you are now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's just kind of a testament to the coaching staff, the guys always accepting, you make a mistake, it's not you're doing bad, it's how can we get better, it's always looking at that flip side of things. So I feel like coming in as a freshman, especially during COVID, like I had no idea what to do. We had every practice for a normal season and had 4 games, so it's like just having that team camaraderie that we had, just made it so easy to excel in that program. And I feel like just like I was saying, the coaching, like I feel like I was very raw coming in as out of high school. Like I had a couple things I was good at, but Coach Gilchrist, Coach Cannell, they really made me into complete receiver.
And obviously, fast forward to this past winter, you get the opportunity to play in the Hula Bowl. You eventually get the opportunity to play in the East West Shrine game. You turned a lot of heads there, my friend. A lot of people that might not have known who you were got to know who you are after you made a spectacular catch in the Hula Bowl and after the week that you had at the East West Shrine game. Talk about those experiences and what they meant for you. How helpful was it for you to play in those games and to see how you stack up against some of the other receivers in this draft class?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that, I have a little chip on my shoulder every time I go up and play against, because you think the Patriot League, oh, you don't have any competition. So then going in and doing what I normally do on the field to then do it at the Hula Bowl, that just, it was huge for me. I was really interested to see what the competition looked like outside of the FCS, FBS, SEC, Big Ten, all those guys were there. So, I mean, the fact that I was still able to produce and do what I do, just more confidence for me and just made me more confident in myself that I was going to be able to perform at the next level.
And then you get the opportunity to compete at the combine in Indianapolis earlier this month. How cool, before we go into your experience here, how cool was it to be able to do all three of these events, or at least the East West Shrine game, I should say, and the combine with your teammate CJ Hansen, who, by the way, is going to be joining us tomorrow night on Field of Draft. But how cool was it to be able to experience the East West Shrine game and the combine with him?
I mean, it's absolutely incredible. I feel like we also trained together for the whole time we were preparing for it. So I mean, just having a brother to lean on whenever you're going through something tough or you don't know where to go with a question or something like that, just having someone that that you've been, having a friendship with for 4 years. It's incredible. And especially I think we're the first players to go to the combine in, I don't know, like 70 some years. So it's really special.
And you both had an unbelievable weekend. You proved that you're draft worthy and you proved that you can play on Sundays. What was the combine experience like for you? How cool was it to have the chance to really prove, not only you prove that you could play at that level with your performance in the Hula Bowl East Red Shrine game, but how was it for you to prove now that you could work out at that level too and put up numbers that are comparable to your peers as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I was training for a long time to get those numbers. I always knew I was a pretty good athlete, but then to a lot of people not really sure how good of an athlete I was, and then seeing it, my numbers, pretty good stack up against the rest of the guys. Some first round, first top 10 picks. So I mean, that's something that I really was looking forward to. I was really happy that I jumped really well. That 40 could have been a little better, but it is what it is. I'm gonna be the player I am. So I'm not upset about anything. I'm just really glad that I had that opportunity. I'm gonna tell my kids about that one day. So it's just a really special opportunity.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. It's an awesome experience. And I think the book on you is that you're a jump ball specialist. But as I tell people, we've covered you your entire career, I should say. It's not even the last 3 years, but we've covered you your entire career. And as I've told people, he's not just a jump ball specialist. He's not just going to be a guy that's going to make his money in the red zone. He's a guy that's dynamic, that can do a lot of different things in a passing game. You can attack all three levels. You're effective on perimeter screens. How much pride do you take in being a complete receiver? Because again, the book on you is that you're going to be a jump ball red zone specialist, but you're a lot more than that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like story of my life is that I'm always going to be labeled as something. I'm always going to fit into some box or not fit here or there. I just play football. I'm a football player. I love to play football. And if that's catching it deep, if that's jumping over someone to do it, if that's running across the middle and taking a hit, it is what it is. I feel like I'm a very well balanced receiver. I can do everything, and I feel like I have a my ceiling still hasn't even been reached yet. So I feel like I still have so much more to grow, so many more you know, mistakes to make and things to work on. So, but I mean, if that's what starts my career, where I'm a red zone guy and I would catch touchdowns, I'm cool with that. But eventually, I'm hoping that I can work towards the middle of the field, take some digs, some goes, some outs, stuff across the middle. I'm hoping to be, everything.
You are watching Field the Draft. I'm your host, John Sirenitas, and tonight we are joined by Holy Cross wide receiver Jalen Coker. And Jalen, you mentioned working out with your former teammate CJ Hansen. Where are you guys working out? And what does that process entail? Because a lot of work goes into getting ready to play in these all-star games, but a lot of work also goes into preparing for your combine or for the combine, I should say, and for your pro day, which is this Thursday.
Yeah, so we were at X3 in Fort Myers, Florida. We were with Jordan Llewellyn, his team. An incredible staff. Amazing PTs. They really top of the line stuff there. I mean, we were working out every day, getting food, making sure we're eating right, make sure we're going through all the drills correctly. It was really just an amazing, really fortunate experience. Weather was great, didn't hurt. So, it was really awesome.
And are you still there? Are you still training, or are you done with that phase of the process?
Yeah, we're done with that phase.
And of course, your pro day is this Thursday on the campus of Holy Cross. Do you plan on working out and participating?
Yeah, yeah, I plan on working out. I'll definitely do some stuff, probably some routes. I got to do bench and the shuttles, so we're gonna see.
And how cool is it for you? And I keep asking you how cool everything is, but how cool is it to be coming back now to do your pro day on campus, a place where you shined for the last 4 years?
No, absolutely, it's amazing. I mean, I'm all I wanted to ever do was put on for my hometown, Virginia, and now I'm at Holy Cross, so putting on for the school there. I can't thank them enough for giving me the opportunities. Not only excel academically, but athletically as well. So I'm just so happy that I can give back.
I talked about earlier how you're labeled a jump ball specialist, and so many people got to see you play in those two all-star games, and they got to see who you are as a player. But how would you describe yourself as a player? We talked a little bit about that earlier and what you hope to accomplish, but how would you describe yourself as a player?
Um, I would describe myself as someone. If it is a jump ball, if it's across the middle, it's my football. So however I'm making the catch, I'm making the catch. There's no interceptions, none of that. I feel like, I'm very savvy. I may not be the fastest, but I get open. And if the ball's coming my way, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna catch it. So I mean, it's just I feel like I'm everything you're looking for in a receiver, other than being a burner. But I catch the ball, and that's the first thing you gotta do.
Yeah, that's the number one thing, and that's the most important thing. Jordan Smith checks in with goat emojis.
Yep.
So
That's the
Jordan
CEO
thinks
right there. That's the CEO.
he thinks you're the goat. Now you know what? After covering you the last 4 years, I don't disagree with him. Um, and without giving away any trade secrets, have you had an opportunity to talk to teams? And if so, what is some of the feedback that you've gotten from talent evaluators and coaches?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to a pretty good amount of teams. I think I'm getting some good publicity, but I feel like the main thing is, I can catch the ball. I've got great body control, strong hands, physical off the line of scrimmage. Route running can always get better, but for my size, I feel like I'm pretty good. Um, yeah, mostly positive things and things that I do need to work on. 100% I can get better at. So um, all good stuff.
One of the hardest things, and I've been in football for about 30 years as a coach, but I've also done radio, TV, analysis, scouting. I'm old. Um, one of the things that I try to stay away from asking this question, but I'm going to ask you this question because I feel like it's more of a baseball question. But who do you model your game after? It's a lot harder in football to replicate someone else, I feel, because each player is their own person, their own player. But if there was one receiver that you could say that, hey, I model my game after that guy, who would that be?
Well, I mean, growing up, I always loved watching Calvin Johnson. I mean, I just loved how he was able to go up, and it seemed like it's an impossible catch, and he's coming down with it over three guys. So, just kind of his presence on the field is something that I always wanted to emulate.
And well, that's a pretty damn good receiver to emulate. Obviously the goal is to play in the NFL. The goal is to get drafted. But if, let's say, that opportunity doesn't present itself for whatever reason, would you be willing to play in one of the other professional leagues?
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem at all. I mean, professional football is professional football. Like of course the dream's always the NFL, but there's no reason you can't go to XFL, USFL, whatever it is, and work your way back up. So,
Yeah.
um, I have no problem with that.
Yeah, and I mean, you get the opportunity to. And there's so many guys now that are playing in the CFL, the UFL. A lot of guys are playing arena. It's ball. It's professional football. You're getting paid to play, and I think you bring up a great point, Jalen. It could open up a door back to the NFL for you. So you definitely don't want to shut the door on those opportunities. And I haven't had a single guy in the 3 years that I've been doing this show that has said to me, you know what, I don't want to play in those leagues. I've had guys say, my preference obviously would be to play in the NFL.
Of
If
course.
that doesn't happen, maybe, but football is football in that regard. Speaking of football, obviously the hope is you get drafted, you have a long successful NFL career, have you thought about life after football and what that could possibly entail?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple ideas. I know me and my roommates would talk about like opening up a personal training, like a gym, become a personal trainer. My degree is psychology, so maybe sticking around teams with sports psychology, something like that. But I'm hoping, it works out for the long run for me. I'm in there 12, 15 years, but if it doesn't, Holy Cross, like I was saying, a great degree to fall back on, and I know that the alumni will be 100% open to giving me some type of internship or a job or something.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that's important to keep in mind is that even if you play 12 or 15 years, you still have to think about life after that because you're still going to be young. You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
If you end up playing 12 years, you're still going to be in your mid 30s when you walk away.
Yeah.
You're still young. It's not like you're 65 and you're ready to call it a career and sit on the porch and sip on lemonade.
Yeah.
You still have plenty of life ahead of you, my friend. Um, yeah, I think one of the things that is important to point out is that when you look at, I want to go back to Holy Cross for a sec because when you look at your development, the program's development, I think one of the things that's so impressive is you guys played a pretty good schedule. So you got to compete against guys that are going to not only get drafted but can play on Sundays or play professionally. How important was that for your development that you guys played Buffalo, you played Boston College, you played Army, you played FBS opponents? How important was it for you and your development to play in those types of games?
It was huge. I mean, especially I was a junior when we played Buffalo,
You
sophomore.
remember that game, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think there was a memorable play in that
Yeah,
game.
there's I definitely something happened for sure. But, no, yeah, I mean, I'm so glad that, we scheduled those games, seeing other competition other than Patriot League or FCS, guys, it's definitely, just a huge advantage.
It is a huge advantage, and I think that in many ways, like we cover you guys on a weekly basis on New England Football Journal, but we double covered the BC game this year, and I had you guys, and you could have won that game. That,
Yeah.
that, that game literally came down to the last drive.
Yep.
And I think you guys proved that you're good enough to play with an ACC school. And yeah, take the local rivalry piece out of it because Boston College and Holy Cross played each other for years. But it proved that you guys are a talented bunch, that you're a talented football team, that you were good enough to hang with those guys. And one of the takeaways I had walking away from that game was there's a lot of guys on this Holy Cross roster that are going to be playing on Sundays. And obviously now that's coming to fruition with your performance and CJ's performance in this pre-draft process.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. I mean, it also just shows that the FCS has good football teams, good
Yeah.
football players. It's not just the FBS.
Yeah, and to that point, you're seeing so many guys now that are transferring up, right? With the
Yeah.
portal, they're starting off their college careers playing FCS football. They have a good year or two, and then they jump in the portal and they end up playing it at the FBS level. So absolutely, and I think, and you're proof of this, right? Jacob Dobbs is proof of this. CJ's proof of this. Matt is proof of this. The talent has always been there at the FCS level. It just speaks to how under recruited guys have been through the years. And speaking of that, you talk about being from Virginia. You come up here to play in New England. New England college football has really experienced a renaissance in recent years. Talk a little bit about that experience for you in playing in New England, because a lot of guys from Virginia, the Mid Atlantic, Florida, they might be hesitant to come up here and play up here in the conditions. You embraced it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wasn't really thinking about the weather too much, football's ball, so wherever whatever happens, happens, snow, rain, it is what it is. You just kind of got to work with the elements. But I was just excited to get away from home a little bit, explore. I love the team and everything, so they made it much easier to make that jump. But I mean, Holy Cross was winning. My high school, unfortunately, we didn't win. So I wanted to be a part of a little program that won some rings.
Yeah, and you guys set a standard here the last 4 years, and one that obviously, hopefully, Coach Kern and his staff can continue. But one of the best college football runs in New England college football history, for sure, the last 4 years. Obviously, it's important in life, Jalen, to have that balance. You're working hard on and off the field. You're a gym rat type. You love the game, but how important is it for you to strike that balance in life and have some interests off the field? What are some things you like to do off the field when you're not practicing, playing, or working out?
Yeah, well, I mean, I love hanging out with my family, so especially being in Massachusetts, it's not an easy drive. So every time I have a chance to go see them, I'm hanging out with them, my siblings, me and my girlfriend. We always do a bunch of stuff together. So I love hanging out with her. I dabble in a little poker. Not good. I'm not great, but that's
Way better than I wouldn't even know where to begin.
that's a pastime that I like to do. But other than that, I mean, video games, nothing crazy. Really, just a chill guy.
Yeah, no, I suck at card games. I wouldn't know how to play chess. I wouldn't know how to play checkers. Here I'm asking you what you like to do away from football, and I don't get away from football. So that's why I suck at those things.
Yeah.
And then I'm a wuss. I don't like to ride bikes or ski or jet ski because I'm 6'3" and an undisclosed amount of weight, and I don't think I don't want to take chances at 49 years old with
Yeah,
that stuff. I'm all set with
I
driving into
hear
a
you.
tree. Uh, what do you love about playing the game? Obviously, football is hard, right? And not every sport is hard. But as I tell people all the time, and I've coached multiple sports in my career, as I tell people all the time, football is hard because it's so uniquely different from the way the game is played, the stances, the fact that we only play once a week. It's a big commitment, and a lot of times, guys in high school, and you've probably seen it, guys in high school say, you know what, I'm good. I don't want to put in all these hours for one game a week. What do you love about playing football? Because a big part of the process, I would think, is embracing the grind.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you can't do that, then you're definitely not going to be able to continue. But I don't know. Just growing up, I've always just loved it. Like, there's really no other word to say. You're just out there, and it's someone's telling you run as fast as you can, catch this ball, and go cross a white line. Like,
Yeah,
it made sense. It was easy.
yeah.
I enjoyed it. There's nothing like running down the field, making a couple guys miss, and then scoring a touchdown and hearing the crowd just erupt. Like, I mean, it's something that I've always just loved, and I've always felt like that's what I was here to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I say this to people all the time, Jalen. The thing that's great about football oftentimes gets stereotyped because people think you have to be a certain size or a certain weight, or you have to have a certain speed or strength level in order to play the game. But I've always said to people, football is the one sport that anybody can play if they're willing to work hard, if they're tough, and they're willing to commit. Because here's the thing, it's not about being able to shoot a basketball or shoot a puck or hit a baseball or throw a baseball. Football is strictly based on pure athletic ability, desire, toughness, competitiveness, and work ethic. And if you think of it along those lines, anyone can play it.
Yeah,
Anyone can
absolutely,
play it and anyone can succeed in it.
absolutely. You just
Yeah,
gotta want to do it.
yeah, right. And with that said, I did want to ask you, I mean, this process you're going through now, you talked about your workout process, obviously playing the Hula Bowl, East West Shrine game, competing at the combine. It's a grind. How much do you also try to balance out the other side of the game, which is the mental side of the game? How much are you doing stuff on the board? How much are you preparing yourself for that side of it? Because I've always said the other thing that makes football hard is you're thinking a hell of a lot more on a football field than you are in any other sport.
Absolutely. No, yeah. I mean, I try my best to go over our old film, look at coverages, try my best to read them. Um, but I feel like going through all these processes and going through the all-star games and stuff, like the lingo is so different. So I'm trying to understand like what means what. So I mean, I'm picking up as much as I can, but I always know there's going to be a learning curve. But I'm just going to be a sponge and just try to soak up everything I can and get it, write as much stuff as I can down for real.
I have to ask, have you had any teams put you on the board?
Yeah, absolutely. A few teams
How
have.
did that go?
It went good. It went good. Most of the time, it's just drawing up what I know, drawing up a coverage to beat it, and then explain the routes, explain the concept. What's the quarterback's drop? Which side is he going to first? Is it left to right?
Yeah.
So those are the main things.
Awesome. And final question here, Jalen. And again, I want to say thank you for taking the time, my man. Appreciate it. It's been an honor to cover your career at Holy Cross. And we get a little defensive about our New England prospects here because everybody and their mother was talking about you nationally. We're like, we knew he was a dude 3 years ago. This is nothing new. Welcome to the party. It's like the same thing with Dylan Lobby. It was like, oh, he's so good. I'm like, well, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we've known for 3 years he's a player,
Mhm.
but it's awesome to see you guys shine at those on those stages, because it's for us covering your careers. It's rewarding for us. Not to get dramatic or over the top about it, but I genuinely mean that. But final question here: what is the team getting in Jalen Coker? If they draft you or sign you, what are they getting in you as a person and as a player? You kind of talked about the player piece a little bit. I don't know if you want to reiterate it, but what are they getting?
No, yeah, I mean, the player piece, you're getting a hard worker, sure hands. I'm gonna get open. If it's receiver, if it's special teams, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna give it my all. Off the field, I feel like very nice guy, big family person. That's why I do what I do is my family. Yeah, and I want to win. I'm a winner, so wh- that's just been my whole life. So whatever it takes to do is what I'm gonna do to do it. So, um, yeah.
Jalen, you know what? We couldn't be happier for you, man. We love to see the success you're having, both in the All-Star games and at the combine. Good luck on Thursday. I know you're going to go out there and crush it. Our Kevin Stone is going to be there. He's excited for that. We're excited to see you work out, and can't wait for draft weekend, man. Can't wait to see where you end up. And look, I say it all the time. Wherever a New England kid ends up, we're going to be rooting for them. We're going to be rooting for that organization. And brother, we can't wait to see where you end up, and we can't wait to root for you, my man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. That is Jalen Coker from Holy Cross. That'll do it for tonight's episode of Field the Draft. We'll be back with you tomorrow night. Jalen's teammate CJ Hansen is scheduled to join me tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. For Jalen Coker, I'm John Sirenita. Till next time, peace.